Hello and welcome back to another episode of Frosthaven Insane +3 difficulty playthrough on solo 4 characters. So in the last video we completed the explosive scenario, that is 26, Cultural Library, and as usual we're now back into the Outpost of Frosthaven to complete another Outpost phase. So we'll start with passage of time, and another week goes by and another week in Frosthaven. For Outpost event, let's see what we have here. Let me just open up Foreteller so we can read it together. So this is Outpost event 12. Where are you? Outpost event 12. There we go. Let's see what it says.
An incoming merchant ship tipped the town fishermen off to a dense school of large fish about an hour's row up the bay. Captain Olmsted asked you to accompany and provide protection to the fishing expedition. The merchants were right. After an afternoon in the calm water, the boat was full of enough fish to last the town half of winter, which is why you're so dismayed when an abale pops his head out of the water.
Per the Treaty of Deep Bay, these are our fish. Bring them over and leave immediately.
He glares at you with black, unblinking eyes. You try to explain you've never heard of this treaty, but he cuts you off.
Your disrespect for those already here and ignorance of our ways is no excuse. Give me the fish or face the consequences.
Option A. You have plenty of enemies already, and it's not worth making more. Besides, you have no idea how many Abelai are in the water below you. Option B. There's no treaty. This Abale is full of chum and just wants a free lunch. Keep the fish and row back to Frosthaven.
It's I think it's always funny the first time this event came up for me that I didn't actually know what a bale was, so it was very difficult to judge which option to take here. My most recent campaign group, which has 3 people who've never played Frosthaven, looked at this and had quite an interesting discussion. I think this is the strength of Frosthaven, where if you read the Outpost event text carefully, you actually do get tipped off, no pun intended, on what's the likely outcome is for each of the options. So in particular, my group focused on the fact that, why would the merchant ship tip us off and not go for the fish themselves? Why would Captain Olmsted ask for protections if he didn't think it was going to be dangerous? So ultimately, I think it's probably clear now I'm pointing these things out, that it's bad to ignore the Abel's warnings, and we'll just do the same here. We'll take option A. We have plenty of things going on in town. We don't need more enemies, so let's do option A.
A. Even if this treaty is nonsense, it's not worth the risk. You order the fishermen to dump the fish overboard. They grumble but comply. With a splash, you watch lunch slowly sink into the depths.
So yeah, we lose some morale, but at least we don't get attack 20 on 3 of our buildings here, which is what the below option B is. So, I mean, our morale is pretty low already. I guess losing one is not a big deal here. But yeah, at least we avoided a bell assault on our base for this week. That is a name read out. That's Captain Olmsted, so we do get our next tick on team building, which is great. 6 more, and our drifter can achieve his lifelong ambition of retiring to the villages. So We move on then to building operations. We've got mining camp, hunting lodge, and logging camp. None of these other things do anything. We're not training any soldiers since we are completely full in the barracks. So I think we'll just buy one of each resource for 2 gold. And I've been spending a lot of money from Deathwalker, simply because I think Deathwalker is closer to retirement than anybody else on the team. And of course, our Blinkblade here needs the gold, so we are deliberately hoarding gold here on our Blinkblade. So let's take 6 more gold from our poor Deathwalker here, and let's distribute some resources. So maybe we get a hide over here, metal over here maybe, and a piece of wood. So let's just give that wood to Deathwalker. We'll be spending it all very quickly anyway, as you see. Okay, downtime. I think somebody did level up. Yeah, it was just Drifter, of course. Drifter's leveling up. Again, this is one of those danger level ups. Drifter going to level 5 will mean the party will be facing another increase to the scenario difficulty level. So we'll be on 6 for the next scenario, which is going to be tough. But that's the way it is. So let's go up to 5. So HP now, we are now on 18. And yes, going up to 5 does mean we can attempt solo scenarios. So I will try to find time. My biggest constraint right now on playing Frosthaven or playing video games in general is my job and family and all the other stuff that goes along with being an adult. So yeah, I will try to find time to play the solo scenarios. But for now, I'm going to focus on playing the main campaign. So that's that. Cards. I think level 5 is a pretty interesting choice, to be honest. Survivalist. Now on the next 6 heals, you get Ward, and Ward is really good. And the fact that this is a rewindable skill is fantastic. Especially, I think, in a multiplayer 4-player party where you want to be spreading out damages. Having all incoming damage is amazing. You've probably seen that on Insane difficulty, one of the biggest problem is you get hit very hard by the monsters, right? And it sometimes just takes you straight from full health down to nothing. It is certainly very possible. I mean, I'm not saying that's not possible on the lower difficulties, it's just more prevalent on +2 and +3 difficulty levels. And Survivalist just overall reduces the chance of that happening, which is amazing. It's really good. And it's a counter to Brittle as well. Bottom half, move to loot 1, heal X. X is the number of tokens and tiles looted. This is also interesting. Not as useful, I think, as the top half of Survivalist, but certainly useful from time to time. Breakthrough. Now, Breakthrough is the card we'll be picking here. So you've probably seen that shielded enemy is a big problem, and Fortitude, our attack 3 pierce 2 card, if I can find it, there it is, has been doing a lot of work. But Fortitude has additionally the ability to go ranged, which Breakthrough doesn't, unfortunately. But Breakthrough does have the ability to apply wound. So this is effectively attack 5. Attack 5, pierce 2 is good. And if you have Crushing Weight, this becomes attack 7, pierce 2. Just overall fantastic card. And bottom half, move 4, rewind a token is also good as well. So we'll definitely be taking Breakthrough here. I think most melee Drifter at this level will be taking Breakthrough, but certainly Survivalist is a strong contender in the lineup here. Had my party gone another way, I would not be hesitating to take Survivalist here. So I'll just take out a card here. I mean, we'll probably be adjusting. As you've seen, every time I play a mission, I'm always adjusting my cards. I'm always thinking about how best to max out the card selections and the various tools we have available to tackle the scenario. So I think when you play on higher difficulties, this is just part of the game. And it makes the game interesting. You're not always sticking to just the same set of cards, and you're always rotating through to find the most optimal solution for a given scenario. Last but not least, we get to do a perk. Now we get to do some quite exciting perks here now. So yeah, it's no longer just replacing the negatives. So the third perk, it is interesting. You move a +1 out, so you do less damage for zeros, but the zeros get to move your character token backwards in one slot. So the way to think about this is like, if you are in a long scenario where you are struggling to maintain the tokens, moving it back one on something like Crushing Weight is basically 2 damage, right? So you're losing a +1 for a 0 effectively, or 2 zeros. But then the zeros move something back by 1, which give you 2. So this is actually kind of like a +2 is the way I evaluate it. So you're actually only trading 1 damage up when you think about what's going on here. I will be taking this, but I think for now, let's have some fun. Let's take the +3. I mean, that's effectively another crit. Most of the time, if you get a +3 on your attack, that's kind of like critting. So having a secondary crit card in the deck is nice. So let's take that. I think then let's level up done. I don't think there's any more leveling up to be had. Nope. All right. So let's, as usual, before we go on to the rest of the downtime, let's set aside the resources and money for our construction. So we are, I think we're Prosperity 2 now. We can't upgrade any of these things, or the Alchemist, unfortunately. We can start building these, and we probably will start to do that very soon. Of course, we can also just build a war section as well, but I think for now, let's upgrade again what we can upgrade in terms of items, buildings that will help us make items. So let's do this. So this requires to be on Prosperity 2, which we are. 3 wood, 2 metal, and 2 hide. So let's take that from the party now. So that's what, 3, 3, 2, 2, right? No, where is it? 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. Okay. Let's take 1 wood, 1 wood, and let's take another wood. So that's our 3 wood. Metal, maybe 1 from here. Maybe take 1 from here. 2 metals and then 2 highs. We don't have a lot of highs. We've been doing a lot of missions with where there are no high drops. Maybe just take 2 hide here. Okay, so that's our 3, 2, 2 gathered. We can upgrade later. 3, 2, 2. Right, and now let's do some crafting. So as usual, let's start with putting all the herb resources into one place. There's 1 arrow vine, 1 rock root. I think that's all we gathered from the previous mission. Alright, and we've got the 2 corpse caps as well. So we've got 4 herbs. I think that equates to 2 potions. I think you probably know already, like, when you chuck the 2 of the same herb in the same place, you're just going to get a healthy mixture, which I said in the last video, it is useful, but just not quite immediately useful for us. So let us do maybe a half and half split. So arrow vine plus corpse cap, and rock root plus corpse cap. So arrow vine corpse cap is here. Oh, there we go. Cure potion. So let's take that off first before I forget. So cure potion, during your turn, remove 1 negative condition you have. This item can be used while you have enfeeble, which stops you from using item, or stun. So it's a pretty good item, pretty good potion. If you're gonna remove things like brittle, like poison, yeah, or immobilize is another good one to be removing. I think there are a lot of uses for this potion, certainly. Typically, this item I like to give to our Blinkblade, because Blinkblade has abilities of poisoning itself, although Amulet of Life still kind of doing the job here, to be honest. Not really one for Deathwalker. I don't think Deathwalker will be in the front line a lot. Again, typically I would give this to Bannerspear, but again, just don't think Bannerspear in reality is going to be doing that much tanking. So probably one for Drifter, actually. I know I've been lavishing a lot of gifts on Drifter. Especially now Drifter's level 5. Drifter can take the 3rd slot potions. So yeah, probably one for Drifter. So the other one is Corpse Cap and Rock Root. Let's see what we get here. Rock Root and Corpse Cap. Stone Stinging Potion. So this is pretty simple. During your turn you get Ward, which halves the incoming damage, which I just talked about extensively on Survivalist. Again, this is a tanking item, although not the item I like to give to my melee drifter, because Ward applies last. So yeah, let's just double check that. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So Ward is 28. So Ward, next time the figure suffers damage, the figure suffers half, then Ward is removed. This doesn't actually say when Ward happens, but I'm pretty sure Ward always take place last, just like Brittle. I don't know if there's anywhere else where that's described. Character damage. Well, character suffers. Okay, it doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure Ward happens last. Because Ward happens last, and Drifter tends to have Shield, as you've seen from the passive Shield. Shield takes place first before Ward applies, so then Ward is actually less valuable on an already heavily shielded character. So I don't think Deathwalker will be doing a lot of tanking. Probably one for Bannerspear. Bannerspear tends to go fast, because this is during your turn, so you do have to act before the monster to activate this potion in time. So yeah, probably one for our Bannerspear here, so that Bannerspear can activate this and maybe tank some damage. Alright, so that's all the herbs. I don't actually think we're gonna have a lot to craft here. I think we've done everything we can, but let's just take a look anyway. I think the biggest upgrade slot for us is probably the shoes slot, just because flexible slippers, while it's useful, is not inherently helping us in our battles. We did pick up Biting Gauntlet, which requires item 94 that we don't have. So the item's on the back here. So again, I mean, I do understand why Frosthaven has this crafting system, and I think it's clever, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the progression in item crafting, unlike what you have in Gloomhaven. But the problem is, when you have items like item 94, and there's no way of finding out what item 94 is, in the physical game, it can be kind of annoying to try to like flick on the back of these things to figure out, hey, do I even have item 94? Like how do I get an item 94? Where does that come from? It means that when you find like a blueprint like this, you're quite excited, right? Like, oh wow, I want to try this item out. But then you're like, but how do I get the crafting material to make this happen? So yeah, I mean, you can probably see by flicking this, yeah, 92 is here, that's a potion. And then what is this? 98, so it's probably a potion of some kind. But, you know, where does that potion come from? I wish there was a better way of doing this, to be honest. But hey, just a minor complaint about the crafting system. So unfortunately, we can't play around with Biting Gauntlet yet. So we're gonna have to just leave that behind, unfortunately. So yeah, what do we say? Crafting. I think all the slots are fairly good. I think we talked about maybe getting crude chainmail, but I do think the hide armor is generally better. Can't be doing any potions. There's an argument for getting crude helmet, maybe, but with the hide armor, it's unlikely we're gonna get critted on Drifter. So yeah, I don't actually think there's a lot for us to do here. So yeah, we're gonna, after all that rambling, we're gonna pack up the shops and move on here. Do I want a crew spear for Blinkblade? Maybe. No, let's get a crew spear. Why not? There's a wood and a metal. It could come in handy sometimes, especially when we're fighting those retaliate enemies. So we have the resource. Why not? Let's have it as a backup item here. Alright, so crafting is finished. All that's left is building constructions. So we've put away the necessary resource for the upgrade. which is upgrade to craftsman. So +1 prosperity, great. We'll take that on our way to number 3 now. And next time we can upgrade this is unfortunately 3, so we're quite a long way now from upgrading craftsman. So let us unlock item 16 to 20 to the item supply. So let's just take a moment and briefly talk about the next level of item upgrades here. I'll spread them out a bit so you can have a look. So again, just like last time, it's 5 items, 2 copies of each. So let's start with Inspiring Helmet, which requires 002, and I don't think I have that. Let's lay that out once again. So 002 is here, Crude Helmet. So this is a helmet that stops you from getting critted. So you can upgrade this with a metal and a hide for it to become a completely different helmet, which is interesting. This really threw me the first time that I looked at this item. I was really thinking, oh, it's going to be a better version of this, right? But it's not. It's instead of avoiding being critted, it says during your turn, you can grant all adjacent allies move 2. Movement is always good, and you can do this at any point. You can do it during your turn, right? So during your, I take that to mean like during my moves, or at the end of my move, at the beginning of my move, whatever. So I can move through our ally and potentially grant them movement. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I guess most of the time this is going to be really useful for like a formation type of Bannerspear or Bone Shaper who has summons that the Bone Shaper ideally like to move. Probably not too useful for us. It is competing for quite a valuable head slot. I mean, all slots are valuable. You know, for Deathwalker and Bannerspear who's at the back, this is probably not going to be that useful. But yeah, it is a very interesting item. It is one use though. You can't recover as a long rest, unfortunately. Rough Boots, 5, I think can probably guess what 5 is. 5 is going to be our Crude Boots. So it does mean that once we upgrade it, the copy of Crude Boots will be now available for Bannerspear and Deathwalker if we wish to do that. What does it do? It says during your turn, add +1 move to all your move abilities. Now, at surface value, it doesn't seem to make that much difference. But this one just says during your move abilities, right? So this will be incredibly good with somebody who moves a lot in one turn. But unfortunately, whereas Crude Boots works with Head Start, Rough Boots doesn't. So Head Start says at the start of your first turn, you can do move 3, and then during your move ability, you can add +1. This one says during your turn. But because this is start of your turn, this is not during your turn. So Rough Boots actually has some sort of an anti-synergy with Head Start, which is very counterintuitive. I actually made that mistake in my last video, which I've added to this full disclosure, which meant I couldn't have activated Winged Shoes as part of Head Start. Although it ultimately didn't have any impact to the scenario, because I would have just used it in the following couple of rounds to get to the exact same position. But it's always worth noting these quirks with these items. Cured Leather Armor. Next 2 attacks, the attacker gains disadvantage. It requires 4 and 98. Now 4 is, without surprise, the Hide Armor. 98 is actually the Healthy Mixture. So you can see where this potion now comes into play. You can use it to create an item. What does it do? On the next 2 attacks, the attacker gains disadvantage. Now that's basically the same, right, as Crude Hide Armor. So why would you make this? Well, if you look in the bottom left corner, it doesn't have the -1 modifier. So this item can be worn on characters like Blinkblade, which I certainly will be crafting for Blinkblade if we are able to. It does require a bit of a roundabout way of crafting, because you're going to have to sell this first, because the characters don't share items. You have to sell this on one of these guys first. Then Blinkblade needs to craft this, then craft this, which requires this, which Blinkblade doesn't have. And then the character has to go back and recraft this item from the supply pool. So it's quite a roundabout way for that to happen. So we might not be doing this. While Strongbow during your turn gets +1 ranged or your range attack, it requires a valuable herb, which is annoying because as you can see, herbs is really crimping our supply chain here. It is an upgrade on Crude Bow, which only adds 1 range to 1 attack. So again, this requires you to be doing multiple range attacks for this bow to be applicable. And then finally, Raining Hammer, during attack ability, adds Muddle to all attacks, which is a great card for one-handed weapon. It's just unfortunate it has a -1 modifier associated with it. So characters like our Blinkblade here cannot carry that, and I think Drifter has already got a handful of items. So all in all, I think the key upgrade is probably going to be Rough Boots to free up a copy of Crude Boots for us. The rest is a bit of a, bit of a whatever. Okay, so that's my short review of the workshop upgrade down. Let us move on to selecting a scenario. Road event first. Road event first. All events are now require road events, so we need to do that because I forgot that last time I recorded. So what do we get? Number 8. Number 8 in the Summer Road deck. Let's read it together.
Out of the corner of your eye, you catch a glimpse of a floating tuft of fur by the side of the road. As soon as you're certain of it, it's gone. You pause a moment, then call out asking if anyone is there. A shimmering cloak of invisibility is pulled down off an old vermling's shoulders.
Cloak getting a bit dusty. Wearing out.
He sits down, pulling a set of glass beads looped on a string from his pocket.
Name's Dram. I don't suppose you've been looking for me.
You can't say that you have, and tell him as much. He flips the beads around in his hand, lost in thought.
Good. Do me a favor, will you? There's an Eyster that's been hunting me for almost as long as I've been alive. If you run into him, would you point him the other way?
Option A. Agree to cover for the vermling. Option B. Ask for payment for services. You are a mercenary after all.
Well, I mean, I think, again, it's interesting this event if you are playing with people who's never played any of the Haven games before, because Vermling is not one of the starting 6 races, whereas Vermling was one of the 6 starting races in Gloomhaven. So I think naturally, everyone I've played with who's played Mind Thief, which is a Vermling in Gloomhaven, lean towards option A. Everybody else, once they find out what a vermling is, which only the way of describing it is this gigantic rat, leans to option B. So it's interesting how Gloomhaven really taints your viewpoint here. We like the Mind Thief, so we'll take option A here.
Dram explains that a persistent hunter, Malak, selected him from the infinite beings in the multiverse as his next kill. Most would roll over and accept the inevitable, but as Dram puts it,
I've been dodging him for years. He may catch me eventually, but I have no interest in making it easy for him. No.
he expresses his thanks.
Say, I might as well pass off some of these clothes. I have a hunch he's been tracking me by scent.
We do need hide, so this is a good event. We get 2 hides. Yeah, the alternative would have been 15 gold. So definitely hide is better here. Unless you're Blinkblade who wants to retire on your Greed is Good mission. We did say Blinkblade probably needs some hide, so let's give Blinkblade 1. Let's give Drifter the other. Okay, so that's road event done. So let's look at our missions. I think we've done quite a lot in the Crystal Fields for now, so I'll probably take a little pause there, and I felt like Cultural Library was a natural crescendo to the exploration in the fields. We could of course go up the Ancient Spire, but again, you can probably tell from the stickers this is going to be a long one. So let's stop here for now on the Crystal Fields. I do want to make the ship before we travel to the Jagger Shoals. Of course, we could always go through the Frozen Fjord. But again, let's leave that. And then we'll think about 5. 5 is one of the hardest early scenarios on Insane without a Bone Shaper. Hopefully I'm not spoiling anything for anybody. So I won't be doing that, especially with just bumping ourselves up now to difficulty 6. So we did remember last time the Quattro Pinter, I think his name was, Quattro Tinker, telling us that there's a collapse in the mountain pass and we should clear up if we want supplies to get through. I really like how there is actual little bit of a, bit of a snow spillage here covering the path here. It looks very cool. So let's go do 114. And 114 is one of my I wouldn't say favorite, but it's a very interesting scenario. So I think let's tackle that next. So let us, without further ado, set it up. 114. Why did I say 115? 114. Right. What does 114 say? 2 pip complexity. The scenario is complete when C plus 4 ice pillars have been destroyed. C just means number of characters. So we need to destroy, that's not what I want. We need to destroy C plus 4, so 4 plus 4. We need to destroy 8 pillars. Let's track it here. 8. At the end of that round, we read the next section. So let us have a look at the introduction together. I wish there was a better way of searching for... Maybe there is. 114. Oh, there we go. I was just looking at my other screen to figure out how to search for a scenario on a foreteller. As you can tell, this is my first time using a foreteller to play along with my Frosthaven campaign. Let's read it together.
Pinter Droman's explosives are surprisingly light. You hike up the pass to the demolition site, where the enthusiastic tinkerer hopes to create a new shortcut on the road over the mountains. You head to the spot marked on the map, where you find a natural stone plateau that could indeed lend itself to wagon travel, were it not for the heap of fresh landslide rubble perched directly in the path. You drop your packs of explosive charges and begin to loosen the straps. But a howl interrupts your work. A pack of wolves poke their heads out of hiding, and a polar bear emerges from behind a large boulder. You were warned about the aggressive wildlife in the area. This is why you were chosen for the task, after all. But as more and more animals appear, you realize there's no end in sight. You'll have to do your work while fighting off the locals. Luckily, you figure the explosives you brought will work just as well on beasts as they do on rocks.
You gotta wonder why the hounds, the wolves and the polar bears and the imps are working together. Seems a bit strange. But the last paragraph really is a hint to this scenario, because we are gonna need to throw some C4s at the wildlife around here. So if you're an animal lover, better look away. So, special rules. Door 1 are locked, and door 1 is here. So these 3 tiles are locked. Each ice pillar in the scenario has arrow times 2 plus 2. So arrow is our scenario difficulty level, which, as I correctly predicted, we're now on 6. So 6 times 2 plus 2, which makes 14. And thankfully, TTS mod has correctly set this up for me. I do, after the last time where we incorrectly spawned too many ruined machines, I'm going to be extra careful now with the TTS mod to make sure I double check everything. And shield, which is 6 divided by 2, rounded up. So yeah, they do have 3 shields, these guys. And as you can see, the TTS mod does not tell you that. Unlike for these guys, which tells the sort of sub stats underneath their HP, it doesn't say that for the pillars. So let's manually add it to make sure we don't lose track of the shield. Not that it will matter, as you will see. We are very unlikely to be attacking these pillars head on. So yeah, they're enemies to you and allies to all monsters. Great. Set a number of tokens next to the map. These represent detonation charges. So these are C4s. So let's use these tokens. Got some tokens here. Any character occupying or adjacent to any A. So that's here and here. So is occupying or adjacent can forego a top or bottom action, discarding this card instead, to gain 1 detonation charge and place it on their character mat. Each character can only carry 1 detonation charge at any time. Any character can drop a detonation charge at any time during their turn, including during movement. So you can move and drop it, placing it in an adjacent empty hex. Now, important to know the definition of empty before you play this scenario, because I think certainly the first time I did this, I think I was very confused. So let's just bring up here as a reference point. So a hex with no overlay tiles is considered featureless. A hex with no figure is considered unoccupied. A hex that is both featureless and unoccupied is considered empty. Tokens are not overlay tiles. So it has to be a tile with no figures and no anything like difficult terrain or anything. But loot tokens fine, these symbol tokens fine. Crucially, Ice Pillar as an objective is considered a figure, so you cannot drop this explosive directly on top of the Ice Pillar. Alright. Whenever any detonation charge is dropped, it cannot be picked up again. Fine. All hexes with dropped charges are considered negative hexes, i.e. they're like traps for the enemy movement. They can be targeted by character attacks and can be affected by abilities that cause enemies to suffer damage. If a drop charge suffers any damage, or any figure enters the hex, including ourselves, the charge detonates, causing all figures and objectives occupying or adjacent to its hex to suffer 6 times 2 plus 4, so 16 damage. Let's put that here as a reminder. So this will do 16 damage. A carried charge will also detonate in a character's hex if the character carrying it suffers any damage from attacks. At the start of each of the listed rounds, spawn the following monsters at the listed locations. Let's bring that a bit closer. As a reminder, so on the even rounds, we will spawn 1 polar bear. On the odd rounds, we'll spawn a normal and elite snow imp. And when both ice pillars B have been destroyed, we read 159.1. Alright, so this scenario says we have to kill 8 ice pillars, 4 of which is in this room. So you can probably guess there's going to be at least 4 in the next room. It's not a big map. And we're a very bunched team with a lot of very dangerous enemies. If it wasn't for the explosives. So explosives do 16 pure damage. Which means that all the imps can be one-shotted, because the elites are 13. The wolves, the normal ones can be, the elite one won't. But luckily, there are no wolf spawn after the... Well, whatever wolves we kill, they're dead. They don't respawn. Now, polar bear is another matter. On level 6 difficulty, the polar bears are immune to immobilize, disarm, or stun. So basically, other than muddle, you can't really prevent polar bear from hitting you for 6+ wound, which is very dangerous. And even 2 explosives will not kill a polar bear on insane difficulty. This is the big key difference between playing this scenario on the lower difficulties versus playing on insane, in that you can't just blow up the entire room and everything in it simply by using a bit of explosives. You know, on like a +2 difficulty, you can clear this first front line quite easily with just 2 explosives. It's not as easy on insane difficulty. So that's worth bearing in mind, especially given polar bear, not the elite ones, but the regular polar bear, which also has more HP than a simple explosive can kill, will spawn. But worth noting, the regular ones can be disarmed. So that's a good thing about it. Although, as we play this scenario, you will see I will not be doing a whole bunch of attacking. I'll be mostly chucking explosives at people. Loot table. We've got coins, metal and hides, no wood, fine. 3 herbs, which is quite good, and we certainly want to pick up all of these if possible. No treasure chests, so yeah. Let's look at the characters then. What are we doing here? Dawdler, Ritualist, or Sleeper. Kill enemy while 3 or more elements are strong or waning. That's potentially possible. We can generate wind. We've got dark over there, so we just need another element. Although the imps like to consume element, unfortunately, so that's kind of annoying. Never use my lowest initiative card play. Well, that's definitely not happening. Initiative is going to be very important here. Sleeper. It's quite hard to do on a 10 card class because we naturally will use all our cards, so probably not that. So let's try Ritualist. So again, I'm going to put it close to the scenario so I can track it properly. So let's look at cards. So this is a scenario where you basically want to set the charge down and attack it from range. So I'm probably going to be taking Driving Inspiration, just because advantage attack. So if you have to do damage per the rules, right? So if you draw like if you do attack like a 2 and you draw a -2 or you miss, you don't actually get to do damage to the bomb, and then you don't set it off. So attack 2 range 4 advantage is going to be quite important. I see an argument for using Unbreakable Wall here, just to give us the extra shield. Although I'm not really sure whether that's going to be all that useful. Like granting ally movement might be quite good here. We probably won't be taking Rallying Cries. Again, it's one of those few scenarios where Rallying Cry doesn't really matter, because we're not really going to be doing a whole bunch of attack to the enemies. Given Disarm doesn't really work against the elite polar bear, there's just less incentive to be taking a card like Rallying Cry. Pincer Movement is an interesting card. On a lower difficulty level, I probably would have taken it just for the loot. There'll be a whole lot of loot on this map. You can be sure of that. But I probably won't be taking it here, given probably just don't need it. Maybe I'll take out Let Them Come for regroup, so we have another way of moving our characters around. Again, attacking is not that important here, whereas movement is absolutely important. So this will probably be my loadout for Bannerspear. We do need to what's Ritualist? We do need to kill an enemy. I'm not 100% sure that will happen, because I don't think the detonation charge counts as you killing the enemy. It counts as the detonation charge killing the enemy. So we'll see if we can find the opportunity to kill, but probably not going to happen really. Masochist, that's definitely possible. Assassin, again, it's going to be hard to kill, so I'm probably not going to make that happen here. Recluse is definitely hard, so I think we're going to do Masochist and see if we can keep our HP low at the end of the scenario. Right, cards here then. So I'm going to be taking some quite unconventional cards here. So Violent Inheritance is definitely coming in, because the bottom half gives you a move 4 and the range attack, and the range attack is going to be very, very important here. I'm probably not going to be taking Prudent Preparation. Yeah, so I'll probably take Violent Inheritance here. And these two cards are kind of not useful. Continuous Health is also a range attack, so that could be useful. Again, I'm probably not going to be even taking Crushing Weight here. Just because we're not going to be doing any real attack, to be honest. So I'll probably take Continuous Health here. This star is all about movement. It's all about movement and range attacks. So probably not taking that. This might be a good load house. Sustain momentum is good just for the bottom half. We're gonna need extra movement. Wild Inheritance is good, as I said. Bloodletting, questionable, but we'll probably keep it because I can't think of anything else that would be better. We don't have time to do precision aim because we'll be sacrificing our top action to mainly be picking up detonation charges. Chunk of flesh. If we can, we'll squeeze the shield in just to give ourselves some defense. Continuous health is good. Breakthrough has a move 4 on the bottom. Fierce Barrage is interesting. Like, giving an extra target means we can set off potentially multiple detonation charges in a turn. Deadly Shot is good. Fortitude is a range attack. Vile Assault is bottom heal. Yeah, I think this is okay. The only thing I can think of taking is probably like No Remorse for the bottom half move. But yeah, we will see about that. We probably won't be going for the mastery here. As much as I love to, it's going to be just quite hard to do this, given we're going to have to sacrifice our top action most of the time to be picking up charges. I should think about itemization here. Probably still take a weighted net here, just for the extra CC. It doesn't work on the bear, but it will work on any wolves or these guys. Oops, don't want to change your affiliation unnecessarily. So I'll probably take weighted net here. It's an option to take the shielding here as well, but I'll probably take weighted net here. I think here we absolutely need a Cruise Spear. This gives us another way of attacking the detonation charges from 2 hexes away, so we don't get blown up ourselves. And yeah, definitely taking jump shoes here. I think it's fine. Right, let's do Blinkblade. Bastion, probably not. Egoist, could do that. And Cleaner. Alright, let's do Egoist. So Egoist just requires us to collect more loot than everybody else. I think that's very manageable. So let's try that. Item here. I think we take the Cruise Spear here. For the ability to attack from one tile away. Don't think the Y card is really relevant here, so we take the lucky dice. And then card wise, anything I want to switch out. So yeah, this one's all about movement. Given we got Egoist, maybe the loot card is still good. I think I might take our Sanding Hourglass here. We're not going to be really doing a lot of bottom half healing because we're going to need to move. So we'll take Cascading Reaction instead. Make it count. Temporal Displacement gives us a bottom half range attack, which is very helpful. Kinetic Transfer is a top half range attack. I might be taking out doubles time here, given we don't really need a double attack, and take Borrow Time to give us even more movement abilities. Yeah, as you can see, this scenario is very unconventional, so I'll be doing something quite interesting. There's an argument to say you take Overdrive for the jump on fast, but we have jump boots already. And the way I tackle this scenario is we probably don't necessarily need that. Gambler, Aesthetic, or Dynamo. So we're not killing a lot of things, so probably Aesthetic. Collect less loot, so Blinkblade wants lots of loot and Deathwalker wants no loot. Fine. Item loadout here. We'll take Code to the Abyss here for the bottom half. Again, this scenario is all about bottom half cards, so we'll be taking this to place Hex Shadow. I think Anger of the Dead is still good. Wave of Anguish, maybe not so much. Probably take Shadow Step here, actually. Move 3 top half can get us quite far, especially if we're going into a Hex with a Shadow. And I'm surprisingly probably not going to be taking Fluidite, because again, we're not doing any attacks, really. Probably take Call of Doom for the bottom move 3. I think Forceful Spirit is still good. Black Barrage gives us a range attack to trigger things. Fleeting Dusk, it's probably good still. We want Eclipse for the move 4. Definitely need Dark Fog. Wonder if Deadbolt is not even that useful here. Maybe we should take Lingering Rot. Although Deadbolt is another range attack top. So we currently have 2 range attack tops. The other one I can think of is Lingering Rot for move 3. So we got a move 4 and a move 3 already. Maybe we'll keep Deadbolt. So something like this. So yeah, very strange. I'm swapping out some of the really strong cards for our normal build here. For very strange setup. But again, you'll see why in a second. Can I do one of these? Possibly. Remove 7 in 1 round is possible. For that to happen, you really need to have 5 on the map already. Then you want to place your 6th, which then automatically removes 1. And then you want to consume. You want to do that twice basically, and then consume all the rest of the 5 with a card like Anger of the Dead or something. It is possible. Place or remove at least 1 shadow each round. I think that's gonna be hard. So yeah, I don't think it's really possible, but we'll see. We'll look out for this. If it's possible, we'll definitely do it. Right. So what is my strategy here for my starting position? Well, the way I think about it is, in the beginning, we're gonna need a detonation charge here and a detonation charge here. So we blow up these imps and severely damage the bear, because we need to kill the bear before the bear gets into too much trouble with our party here. Thereafter, we will take down the next 2 pillars, and we'll utilize Deepening Despair, bottom half, which says all of our shadows are adjacent to each other. We'll use that to help provide mobility on this map, rather than trying to run through all the piles and piles of enemies that'll be spawning every round. With that in mind, given the door is leaning to the top half of this map, we'll start our characters like this. And the idea is that Blinkblade will help drop the first charge here, with Deathwalker detonating it. And Drifter will set up the next charge here with the jump boots, and Blinkblade, Bannerspear will detonate it. And afterwards, we'll set up the shadow portal around here, so the guys can all shift over to here, and then detonate the rest of the pillars as they come out. Okay, I think that's enough talking from me. We'll cut here as usual and move on to the next video where we'll do the combat portion of the gameplay. Thanks for watching.